Southern Cameroon was the first country in Africa to have its autonomy, multi-party system. They had gotten 3 prime ministers election, of which the French Cameroon never experienced that. So with these 2 cultures coming together to form a federal republic of Cameroon, that each country will maintain a system of education, legal system, and language. But since the French Cameroon, being a majority, gradually disregarded the international laws and agreement of the federation and assimilated the English system. So that's a not short of it, Cliff. And then since then, there have been a lot of marginalization and assimilation.
I can see how at first glance joining the French Cameroon would be pretty attractive. Nigeria is a huge country, and English Cameroon would have been sort of swallowed up there. On the other hand, sticking with your one's Cameroonian cousins would make sense, but yeah, it didn't work out very well, did it?
Well, but not only that, we had been with Nigeria, and we were treated very badly. And then, before early 1950s, so our people moved out of Nigeria, the Nigerian parliament, and came back and settled and formed a nation called British Southern Cameroon. And to answer your question that about the current tragedy, you know, every nation has a national army. But in French Cameroon, we have a bilingual army because of the 2 states, the English and the French state. But when you see what is going on fighting Boko Haram in the north, they are sending the national army, that is both the English and the French. But what is happening in English Cameroon when they declare the war, instead of sending the English-speaking army to that place to go and that they understand the system, you know what happened? They send the French-speaking army who do not understand English, who are from the president's tribe, and they have no compassion and no attachment to these people. So they were sent there to go and cause massacre. So what happened last week, that has been going on continuously. You remember one time they burned a hospital, burned people alive, burned almost 200 villages. So this was a lady, a mother, taking her 3-year-old to school. It would be very, very graphic. Well, some people may not really want to get the picture, but I apologize on my description. So while they stopped at these French gendarmes, that they call them, they speak only French. They stopped her to ask for bribe from the driver, 500 francs, which is $1. So the driver gave her documents, everything was right. He said, no, this child is leading to school. If you want my documents, fine, I'll give it to you. But let me drop this child to the school and then hold my documents, I'll come back. So he said, no, you have to pay me the money. He said, I don't have a reason to pay you bribe or so. He proceeded to take the child to school. Then the mother just heard, boom. He just blew the baby's head open, and I mean everything, the 4 other siblings in the car, the skull and everything shattered on them. And that is exactly what these people have been doing with impunity. The graphic picture that I sent to you is clear indication what they do. And I wonder, this is going on in the watchful eye of the French army, the French government, and the international community is just paying a blind eye because France, because of its economic interests, and the government with deep pockets have hired so many lobbyists in this country to clean anything that can tarnish its image. I think that is really horrible. It's really horrible. And you remember, Cliff, it was Lowell in 2017 that then Mayor Kennedy, with the entire city council, voted unanimously to condemn the atrocity.
I remember.
And that is because of the transatlantic relationship between Lowell and their sister city, Bamenda, which is the economic capital of the southern Cameroon. So Lowell stands up of being that compassionate sister city in the world. And most other cities in this country, Atlanta, Philadelphia, have actually taken the example of Lowell. So, in fact, the people of Lowell
Well,
are...
let's check with Mike. Mike Smith's with us. You're in New York, right, Mike?
Yes, I am.
Are people out your way aware of what's going on in Cameroon and Africa?
I highly doubt that.
No.
I mean, I've seen some articles only because I know fruit. So, but I haven't really seen any articles. I get updates on a lot of stuff, and I haven't really seen anything on Cameroon. Unfortunately, I've seen the articles because of Fru. I check stuff, but people around me, I haven't seen anything in the news or heard anybody say anything to me about it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And if you hear what Mike is saying, Mike is just confirming what I'm telling you, that international community, because of French lobbies and the Cameroon lobbies, they've decided just to black out what is going on. But the whole world needs to be more aware. You see what is happening in Ethiopia with the Tigrayan struggle. That came when just recently, but it is already hitting the media wave, the international wave, and they are talking about it. And the crisis in Cameroon has been going on since the 30th of November 2017. That's how many years?
And it's multifaceted. We've got, you mentioned Boko Haram, which is up in the north of Cameroon and the north of Nigeria, and they're kidnapping people and killing people. That's not very good.
It's not really good, because if you see exactly the tactics that is happening up in the north with the Boko Haram and the government, it is the same tactic that the government is using it in southern Cameroon, so that so that they will tell me that the southern Cameroonians are kidnapping people. Because why would you ask? The southern Cameroon is not up in the north. In the north is all French Cameroon. Why would the same thing be happening in the north that is happening in the British southern Cameroon, kidnapping innocent people, burning houses and burning villages? So the government has its own militia that is doing all these atrocities so as to discredit the freedom fighters in Ambazonia. But let me thank you, Cliff, and City Life Show, because in America and even in Massachusetts and the Northeast, those who watch your show here and around the world, you've actually taken a lead to be able to bring this crisis to people. So City Life Show and all the hosts, you've regularly discussed this, and I really want to thank you for doing that.
So what you're saying, Fu, is that the United Nations will not go down there and check it out like they usually do, send a committee in there, people in there to investigate. Is that what you're saying?
Well, exactly what you are saying is, your question is very correct, Ned, but the United Nations doesn't go anywhere to solve peace. No, they go anywhere, let me explain, they go anywhere when there is a power on the ground. Yeah. Once the Ambazonians start taking that territory, now you see the the United Nations go there to maintain peace. Yeah. But right now they are just posturing because France is a permanent member of the...
Five members of that board.
Right. France has veto powers and all these international members at the UN. It is an old boys club.
So what you're saying is like a feudal fight going on in that.
Well, it is a feudal fight because behind you have France. that it's fueling all this to protect its economic interests and using the French Cameroun as a staging place. Yes.
Well, but southern British Cameroun is sort of a block on the access of French Cameroun to the ocean, right?
No, part of French Cameroun is also has an opening to the ocean, but we have the natural seaport. And
Yeah.
someone will ask that British Cameroun only 20% of the population. Why are they very concerned about this? But the answer is British Cameroun is 20%, but they contribute 80% to the national GDP. The oil, all the resources, natural resources, come from the British part of that country. And when I talk of the British Southern Cameroun, it's good to understand that the British Southern Cameroun is not the Southern Cameroun of the Republic of Cameroon, because that is what the Republic of Cameroon has intelligently and deceptively used to tell the international community that this crisis is an internal crisis. These are two independent countries that had their international boundaries recognized at the UN, that came together as a federation. And if that federation is not working, they have both ways to depart or to discuss. But they have told the international community that it is the southern part of Cameroon, which is a British southern part, because there used to be a British northern part that Britain divided just for administrative reasons. So I wanted to make that clear, because it is the British southern Cameroon, today known as the Republic of Ambazonia.
I got your video. I looked at, Fru's video, and the nudity is what prevents me from presenting that to the public today. Otherwise, it seems that public access doesn't really have a mind. The violence, that we can show that, but because there's some nudity in the shot, we can't show that.
No, John, it's not good to show it, because that's the grandmother.
Seeing is believing.
Yes.
Seeing is believing.
Yeah.
And to see what a grandmother will do to help her child is it's heartbreaking to see what that gal has to live through. And so, but I'm sorry I can't show that video.
It's very, very appropriate.
But you understand, so
yes.
I'm good for that. So Cliff's got this.
Fru.
Thank you very much, Cliff, and I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our two city councillors and candidates that for your work on the city council, not only in Lowell, but I would like you to know that what you do in Lowell also has impact around the world. I know that the two of you voted to condemn the atrocity that had going on in the Cameroon, and that also goes a long way to say that the little things that you do in Lowell also affect people around the world. I remember your vote, BBC actually cited Lowell for being the first city in the world to actually condemn the atrocity that's going on in the southern Cameroon. So please, I just want to acknowledge that and thank you, that whatever you do doesn't just remain here in Lowell, it's also felt around the world. And the people of Bamenda, which is a sister city to Lowell since 2002, would forever be very grateful for whatever you do here.
And thank you for your work here, what you've done in Lowell, because you truly are someone who speaks out on issues, and that's the way we have to have it. The only way we're going to be able to understand what's going on is we have to have communication. We have to have people willing to say, guess what, we think you're wrong. Or, yes, we think you're doing the right thing. I mean, but the thing is, it goes both ways. You know, it really, that's what's important. I think that's what we tried to do. You know what I mean?
Okay, thank you. Fru's got to leave in about 7 minutes, so do you want one more bite at the apple, Fru?
Oh, well, I like to commend the candidates for putting their service to us, but I would like to, what are some of the major issues that affect Lowell in terms of in the school and also in the city, and what do you see Lowell going forward after in times of COVID? COVID has changed the dynamics and everything around. What are your concerns, and how do you think that these concerns, you can bring these concerns to bear so as to produce good solutions that can get us out of this pandemic?
Danny, go
Sure.
ahead.
Yeah, and just to quickly, to Eileen's point you spoke of earlier, just yesterday when I was in the neighborhood and talking to people, I did talk to a school teacher, and her number one concern through the school system was translators. Not having enough. Lowell is very welcoming. And the conversation we had, which was a great one, is that look, when families come to the city of Lowell, no matter where they come from, they're coming here for a better life and for a better future for themselves and for their kids. And it's a disservice to the city. It's a disservice to them if we cannot provide these families every opportunity that maybe I have had, or maybe Fruit may have had, or Georgia may have, had to succeed. And I got into a bigger discussion about the city of Lowell, and how do we do things, to integrate everybody, to get everybody involved, to make sure everybody has a voice, in their future. Unfortunately, some do not have a choice. They are pigeonholed or stuck in a place where it takes a tremendous amount of work to get out of. And it's incumbent on, whether it be me as a city councilor or Aline as a school committee member, or anybody, to be all inclusive and to provide the resources necessary that when we welcome these people to no matter where you're from, to give them the greatest chance to succeed. And I think that a city such as Lowell, that's what it's all about. That's what we have been, throughout the history of the city. Is when people come here, we provide the education, we provide the work opportunities, the career advancement, the educational advancement, to benefit themselves, and overall that benefits the city, right? Specifically, as you said before, I believe that each district has separate issues. Whether you go to the Highlands or Centerville, downtown, Pawtuckaville, the Belvedere area, that it's incumbent on the incumbents or the new challengers that are running for office to get out there and to talk to people and to see what the attitude of the neighborhood is, or the future of it, or how people think things are going now and how they can improve for the future. And again, that is a 100% team effort, right? And when I'm successful, when Eileen's successful in the campaign, to talk, to see what is going on in the school system, what's going on in the city hall. And when you do those things in a constructive, civil manner, that's how the city can improve. And when that happens, obviously, it's for the betterment of its residents and families.
Thanks. Eileen?
Thank you. I love that answer. But I think as a school committee, if I was elected to the school committee member, I think that the city does have different issues in all different parts of the city. But I think that one school could be representative of so many different schools throughout the city that issues have been neglected too. So I think even though it's been divided into districts, I think any issue in one school should be assessed and say, oh, how is this going in the Highlands or in Pawtuckaville, or how is this school doing? Because one issue in one school could be the same exact thing in another school that has not been addressed or has been an ongoing issue. So I really do believe in the school committee side of it. There are a lot of issues that one even building or one issue could be representative of. And I think maintenance is one of the biggest issues too within the city, because that needs to be addressed. Because if we want our students to learn up here, then we need to provide basic, healthy buildings for them. And the facilities, first of all. So if we're not doing that, then they don't have the hierarchy of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that basic like environmental needs, you know what I mean? That they need to do well in. So we would only be helping our students if we could help to make our buildings a little bit healthier. And then again, as I mentioned, our kids' academic and social emotional needs really need to be assessed, and our teachers, staff, administrators, guidance counselors, social workers all need to be trained in a new and different way to meet our kids where they're at this point.
Okay. Tomorrow's Columbus Day. We're celebrating it today. And
Is it legal to? Is that the legal word now, Cliff, or do we have to go to the indigenous?
It's Indigenous Day.
the Boston Globe, in a headline, said, "The first Columbus Day was born of violence and political calculation," actually. Benjamin Harris declared Columbus Day hoping to get the Italians to step down, and also hoping to pick up Italian votes in the election. So that's where Columbus Day supposedly originated.
Oh, so it was political. Then what about the indigenous? Is it because the indigenous were not considered people to vote at that time, or before Columbus came here, were there not people here?
There were people here, but not very many of them got to vote. It was human sacrifice.
It's before cars.
So
There were no cars either.
is it being justified to call it Columbus for one person when he came and met a nation of people living here? I mean, I'm just thinking it loud based on the conversation that you are giving.
Well, he was the captain of the ship that discovered this continent.
No, he didn't discover this continent was already there. Wherever.
Okay, so well, give us the answer then, since you got all the answers over there. Give me the answer.
No, I'm just saying that when some people go there, they meet people, they say discovered it. When they go to Africa, they discovered Africa. When they go to Australia, they discover Australia. New Zealand, and discovered New Zealand. And what does that mean? It means the people who were living there don't have. Can't we also go there and celebrate them? But
So you don't like Christopher Columbus, obviously.
No. I do like. I'm talking about historical
it seems to me you don't like the guy. So I was taught as a child that Christopher Columbus discovered America, and I haven't made time to disqualify that statement. I like the nuns that taught me, and now we're changing the name to Indigenous Day, which I think it should be Native American Indian Day.
I agree with you.
Indigenous, what the heck is that?
Okay.
Who discovered this continent?
Well, before Christopher Columbus, it was Leif Erikson.
What about Vasco da Gama?
I'm not getting an answer.
Or Americo Vespucci?
No, he's just a cartographer.
Elvis Presley?
Newfoundland.
Elvis Presley discovered this continent?
Him too. But before Leif Erikson, there were the Portuguese.
Okay. From the Azores? They found the place?
No, from Portugal.
The Azores is Portugal. The
Americo
Azores is like
Vespucci, was he Portuguese?
Hawaii.
Americo Vespucci.
Yeah.
Actually,
Azores is Hawaii.
Columbus landed on an island. And
Yes.
he didn't land in the continental United States.
He was just happy to land somewhere.
It was one of the islands in the Caribbean.
So recent discoveries show that there were people here before the ice bridge across the Bering opened up and allowed folks from Asia to come into this continent. So where did they come from?
Well, there's a couple of ways. One is that they crossed over from China. The other one was that they crossed over from Africa. So, who really discovered America? I have no idea.
A lot of people discovered America.
Well, I would think that if my limited knowledge of history, because history is what other people write based on their own interpretation, is that if the theory of the Big Bang is right, that all the continents separated were together, they separated, Africa divided, and then so from there, and if it is true that the origin of life came from Africa, when the continents broke up, when the world split apart, and then people who were there, they moved. So I would say that those people who moved with the continent being divided, they are the indigenes. So if someone is coming from somewhere, crossing from Asia and coming here, what about those people whom when the continent, when all continent broke away, Africa went its way, and the other continent went away?
Yeah.
Well,
I think we're all immigrants.
so actually, we really don't know who the actual founder is. But the name comes from Americus Vespucius, and I think he was Portuguese.
Probably. They were the great navigators
Yeah.
of the day.
Yeah.
So,
But
and
I got to tell you this, though. Coming out of the Mediterranean, there's an undercurrent. And what happened was the Greek Navy had to figure some way to get into the Atlantic. And some brilliant guy decided, if we have sails above us, why not put sails underneath to pick up the current that goes out? So, that's what happened there. That's how they got out of the Mediterranean.
yeah, the Spanish coming here helped the indigenous people overthrow the tyranny of the Aztecs. So, I don't know if that's good or bad.
Well, they fought against the Aztecs, which meant that the Aztecs were here before them.
True.
Well, in any of those land masses, you saw the various groups were fighting amongst each other. There was no other place that there was a lot of tribal wars going on than in Europe. And you had the Austrian Empire, the Napoleonic era, the German Empire, and all those places. There were so many wars going there, and that's why they looked elsewhere and to expand their influence.
Well, the story that I was told as a child was that in 1492, the Spanish finally threw the Africans out of Spain, who'd been occupying Spain since, 750, 770? And as a result, that was in January of 1492. As a result, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella had a big army and had no idea what to do with it, but figured they needed to do something. And that's when they took a chance on Christopher Columbus and funded his expedition. His ships, you could have put 3 of them into one of the Chinese ships that had sailed to Africa 100 years earlier. So there was a lot of exploring going on at that time. A lot of people trying to learn new things, because apparently they hadn't passed the word down from years previous. So I've always seen Christopher Columbus as a effort on the part of the Spanish government to deal with the depression that might have followed the country after its victory over the Moors. So there's that too.
I think that's really a very powerful historical connection to what is going on in Africa, because Africa was great, and then the European powers saw that the only way to limit Africa's influence is to meet in Berlin in 1884, and to avoid themselves from fighting amongst themselves. They went over there and then decided to draw imaginary lines, creating nations and separating families and people up to today, which is really the root cause of what is going on in Africa.
Yep, there is that too.